That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Red Sonja, a reboot of the 1985 flop and the 8th film directed by MJ Bassett, which Samuel Goldwyn Films is releasing for one night only theatrically on August 13, 2025, before it will be available to stream on VOD August 29th.
I know we reviewed one film from this director.
Yes, their previous film, Rogue, starring Megan Fox, which is not a very good film. Previously, they directed Solomon Kane, which I think I remember being at the Toronto Film Festival. Also, Silent Hill Revelation, and a sequel to Spike Lee's Inside Man with Inside Man Most Wanted.
What is this film about? Enslaved by an evil tyrant who wishes to destroy her people, barbarian huntress Red Sonja must unite a group of unlikely warriors to face off against Dragan and his deadly bride, Dark Annisia. What is your pull quote?
Despite not having the necessary budget or resources which could have allowed the Red Sonja reboot to truly work as a fantasy film spectacle, MJ Bassett succeeds in mastering a passionate, character-driven narrative defined by colonialist trauma and cultural identities.
Mine. With a commanding lead performance and a burst of fresh creativity, Red Sonja outshines its 1985 predecessor while keeping the adventure alive.
To be fair, it wasn't going to take much to be better than the 1985 film.
So we watched the Brigitte Nielsen film like the day before we watched this one. So it's pretty fresh in my mind. And I think most of the things I found disappointing in the 1985 film were resolved in this new version. So maybe that adds to why I enjoyed it as much as I did.
It's a vastly different story. I think we have finally disposed of that pesky male gaze that reduced Brigitte to nothing more than a beautiful woman in an awkward costume.
Right. This story is more involved than the 1985 film, which I liked. It feels more epic.
Yes.
I don't know what the budget was. I'm assuming it was, from some reports, under 20 million. If that is the case, I'm pretty impressed with what they were able to accomplish.
I agree. And, clearly some of the special effects look like CGI, but I think the rest of it is good enough to forgive those slights. I
agree. So the story, Red Sonja is played by
Matilda Lutz, who's in Coralie Farge's debut film Revenge from 2017. We also reviewed her in the Michelle Hazanavicius film Final Cut, Coupe.
So we find out that when she was a young girl, her village was overtaken and her mother was killed. And she, along with some other children, fled into the forest, and it was believed that they all died. But of course, Red Sonja persisted. And so now she lives out in the forest. She's very much one with nature. So we meet her as an adult. And one day she sees poachers killing these very interesting looking creatures. They look like maybe rhinos that are less dinosaur than dinosaurs, or less dinosaur than rhinos actually look. But they're being poached for their horns. And of course, that's upsetting.
She goes full Diane Fossey on their ass.
So she tries to hunt these people down, and she's led to this village of these, warriors who are led by the Emperor, Dragan.
Played by Robert Sheehan.
And unfortunately, Red Sonja is captured. And then the film becomes the film Gladiator.
Basically.
Because the Emperor is basically capturing people, enslaving them to battle in a coliseum for sport. So we get kind of the middle portion of the film is that. Red Sonja dealing with that, sort of bonding with the other slaves who are warriors. And it all culminates in a battle against a big cyclops. And that's when we see the technology that the Emperor has developed. And similar to the 1985 film, there's an orb. In the 1985 film, it's a talisman that the villain, Queen Gedron, was using to give her unlimited power. In this film, it's actually giving the Emperor power. He's able to...
An energy resource.
It's an energy resource, which was pretty interesting. But he's also developed technology to do mind control. So they're using that on this big cyclops. But Red Sonja is able to remove the device and free the cyclops. And she tells this creature, we're not your enemy, the people who have been put in this thing to fight you. It's them over there, the people sitting in the Colosseum. So the Cyclops destroys the Colosseum, and all the slaves are able to escape. And Red Sonja is like, well, it was nice knowing y'all. Go be free. I'm going to try to lead the Emperor into the forest.
Notably, she destroys the orb.
That's right. She does destroy the orb and blows up the castle. But she tells the people, like, I'm going to go into the forest to try to lure the Emperor in so I can kill him and all his people. And the other slaves are like, no, we want to help you. So that's the final act of the film, is that there's this final showdown where the Emperor and his people come to defeat Red Sonja. It's important to know the Emperor has a sidekick, who I thought was really interesting.
Very striking. Annisia, played by Wallis Day, and what he's utilizing her for.
We need to get into
Again,
that.
there are really interesting elements.
Yeah, but basically she's like the Empress, but not really, but we'll get to it. But there's kind of a final showdown with the Emperor and the Empress, and they both end up being fatally wounded. But the gag is, we learn not only that the Emperor used to be a slave who found freedom and then became this tyrant, but he was one of those kids who fled into the forest with Red Sonja. So he's part of her people, and they're called Arcanians. Yeah. So in the end, because Red Sonja is a good person, she basically kind of forgives him and says, we're going to bury you with your people, because he's dying, to give him some dignity. The end.
And notably, he's trying to find the other piece of this ancient book that's from his people. He desires to find the Arcanians that are still surviving, hiding out in the woods, because since he's from there, he knows that they're there. And as a child, he absconded with half of that text. And that was what he was able to, much like Good Will Hunting, educate himself and become a tyrant.
And he believes that if he gets the other half of that book, that he will learn even more. Like, he thinks that he'll learn science and be able to build weapons and more technology. He does end up getting the other half of that book, but it's actually the opposite of what he wanted. It was more about, like, I believe it was like, he comments like almost like holistic medicine, which is not what he wanted. But yeah, so what did I like? I think the lead,
Matilda Lutz.
was what I wanted Brigitte Nielsen to be.
Very much so, yes.
Because we reviewed Red Sonja in our podcast, and I had said that while Red Sonja, played by Brigitte Nielsen, is a beautiful woman, she seems very uncomfortable in the role and doesn't really seem like someone who'd be strong and fight. But Matilda Lutz comes across as like a much more confident, strong, bold woman.
Yes. And the chainmail bikini that is, arguably kind of controversial that they still included it, she's made to wear that while she's in the arena.
I interpreted that as, because she has a choice whether or not to wear it, because the person doling out the weapon says, well, maybe you should have this, people will love it. And then once she's free, she still chooses to wear it. So I thought that she was making like a point.
Yes, she was.
And so I like that. But so I thought the lead performance was really good. I thought the level of creativity, especially if the budget is what we think it is kind of spectacular. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Even down to like, because a lot of it is probably green screen CGI, but
you can tell sometimes with the lighting where the sun looks nuclear.
Well, I think specifically those moments, I think the Cyclops is very CGI.
Yeah.
But then like the audience, it's clear that, there were probably people there. And the costume design, the hair and makeup, there is some really interesting, so they all look human except for one group of people who look like
they have primate features.
Yeah, like
Mandrills.
monkey gremlins. And I thought that
the makeup was pretty good.
If they are practical effects, look really good. I think the wig game is acceptable.
Well, one of Matilda Lutz's early scenes, she was kind of reminding me of like Olivia Bonamy or Amber Heard even. And funnily enough, I think there was at one point in time, Rose McGowan was supposed to be Red Sonia, and then Amber Heard was being bandied about a decade ago. But one of her early scenes, she's swimming. And I think that's what makes the wig.
Well, yeah, because her hair's pushed back and the hairline is, very wiggy. But I think Well, then speaking of Red Sonja's hair, so for the bulk of the film, she has copper colored hair. And then she has a near-death experience. There is a supernatural element in addition to it being sci-fi where...
Well, she returns to this tree where...
It's like a statue of a woman.
That I think is supposed to be her mother, and it's very kind of Avatar in that sense. And her mother, played by Veronica Ferres, who we've reviewed in a couple things, that film Crisis with Armie Hammer about the opioids.
Oh, yeah.
She's in a very so-so Werner Herzog film called Salt and Fire. But the mother keeps revisiting her in flashbacks, and I think that is the most pronounced supernatural moment, because basically Red Sonja is resurrected from the dead.
And a really cool shot where basically she's like in a bloodbath, and when she emerges, her hair is like fire engine red. I really liked that.
I did too.
Let's talk about Annisia.
Played by Wallis Day.
She has a great look.
Yeah, and well, she's very blonde and always decked out in white. She even, like Goldfrapp, rides a white horse.
But her character is so interesting because we find out that she was also a slave with the emperor and they were freed. And she wants to marry him. She says, like, why won't you have me as your empress? And he's like, well, which I think is really funny at first because he's like, well, hold on now, bitch, because you know you hear voices. So her character is meant to seem like she's severely mentally ill. And we see her taking like a potion to calm down the voices. But the gag in the end is that the emperor has been giving her the potion to make her hear voices. So he's kept her in this unstable state as a way to control her and to avoid marrying her.
Oh yeah, he's gaslighting her to the nth degree.
I mean, this is like top tier gaslighting. So for all the people who like to use that term gaslighting, you need to watch this movie and then you'll learn what it really means. But the actor playing the emperor,
Robert Sheehan,
I really liked him too because he's kind of perfect as this puny, like he's a handsome guy. He's not like but he comes across like this.
He's a little man syndrome.
Like a coward. And I thought that.
Well, that's what I meant by kind of the passion in the performances is these people are actually kind of going in. They're giving them some dimension. Because by the end of it, when we realize his own history, it's kind of got, Red Sonja kind of has a Furiosa-like childhood. But this is basically a story about traumatized refugee children.
Yeah.
And how they survived and what they did to, what they did to become adults.
So the orb, we see that the emperor, of course, has like a scientist working on it. I thought that was I don't know anything about the comic book that Red Sonja comes from or the short stories, but
Same.
I do like the update to the talisman from the 1985, from the talisman to this, like this energy source.
Because I was unsure of what that talisman was doing. It's just that we have to destroy it.
Yeah, and then the mind control, because we see that they're testing it on animals first, but the emperor really wants to use it on humans, presumably to control them as an army. I like that storyline.
Well, and there's also the emperor he has several key moments where he's clearly divorced himself from the idea of these pagan gods, and he's an educated person, but education has also made him detached from humanity.
There's another actor who's one of the slaves, this woman who has like a tattoo down.
Rona Mitra. I was surprised to see her. She's in it made me really want to watch Neil Marshall's Doomsday, which she's the lead in.
I liked her in this. She was a nice flavor and she looks fantastic.
She does. I was looking her up. I guess her father, she has an interesting background, but I think her father was a plastic surgeon. So she knows how to get the good stuff.
I guess. Yeah, she looks great.
That said, though, all these gladiators that are stuck in this subterranean cell, they all look a little too good.
Well, that was my next note, is that there are too many attractive people in this movie, which, it's eye candy, but it's also unbelievable. Like, there's a fellow Arcanian, this blonde.
Ben Radcliffe.
Looks like a model. Then there's this other guy,
Osen,
who's an actual prince who was enslaved. He's too attractive.
Luca Pasqualino? Yeah.
I mean, most of the people who are enslaved are like fitness model level. It's a little too much. I was thinking there's one character who has like piranha teeth. And I thought if people wanted a glimpse into Nick's true nature, you commented that if I had to file my teeth down like that, I would be biting people.
Oh, straight up.
And I thought, oh, that explains your character pretty well.
Well, you have to utilize if you had to modify yourself, you better use those modifications, okay? But that was giving me Beatrice Doll mouth, kind of.
Or Karen Black in Trilogy of Terror. The Red Sonja has a horse, which I thought was a really sweet plot point because the horse is very, devoted to her. And the horse saves Red Sonja twice from being badly injured or rescuing her from near death. And I thought that was a nice accent.
Plays much better than Arnold Schwarzenegger always showing up to save the day when Red Sonja doesn't even really need him to be there. I like that it also kind of has a samurai film element because there's all this talk about what tribe do you belong to, what's your history, and she's kind of wandering around like a samurai without a tribe or a master's a ronin. And I think it has all of those really interesting elements in there. And it also made me sad to think, like, what would Paul Verhoeven have done with Red Sonja in '85 instead of Richard Fleischer? I mean, it probably still, would seem horrendously dated, but I think Verhoeven had a way of dealing with sexuality in Hollywood that sometimes became laughable, but I think there's also a lot of authenticity in what he presented. But if you've never seen Flesh and Bone with Rutger Hauer and Jennifer Jason Leigh, which is his medieval era film, that was what I was thinking he could have done with Red Sonja.
It was hard to tell because we saw a screener, so I don't know if this was a post-credit scene. If it isn't, it was an awkward edit. But the final scene is time has passed and Red Sonja's at a bar about to do like a drinking game or something.
It's kind of giving me Raiders of the Lost Ark with Karen Allen's.
She looks like she's having fun. They're about to blindfold her. I think she's been drinking and people are betting money. I don't know if she was going to do something with a knife or whatever. But all of a sudden that handsome prince shows up. And he's like, hey girl, we need your help. Come on. And she's like, damn, okay. She gets up and leaves. So clearly, the fight continues.
I kind of like that. It's in slow motion with the music playing, and she stabbed this apple, which felt very much like reclaiming Eve.
Sure. Yeah, I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was kind of dreading it, especially after I hadn't seen the first one ever. I was not looking forward to this, and of course, it's been had troubled production issues for a very long time. So I think that if you go in with an open mind, you'll be very pleasantly surprised. I don't know what anybody's supposed to do with a one-night-only theatrical run, but apparently they're trying to make it seem like an event. But this is a great improvement on the original.
What would you give this film? 3. I think it's good. I would give it 3 out of 5. Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.